Part of me always wondered, okay, we're having these issues in our marriage. Business is going great. I'm on the top of my game. She doesn't appreciate me. I wonder if she doesn't start appreciating me and we don't start connecting, I wonder what it'd be like to separate or divorce and find someone that really loves me and appreciates me. Well, I gotta say, in 2019, 2020, I was on top of my game. The business was making 100,000 a month or more. We're at $1 million run rate for 2 years in a row, and I felt like she was lucky to have me. And then I gave myself permission to do something I had not done in years. I started using THC, and I say THC because that's obviously marijuana or weed. But I used it as drops combined with CBD to relax. But I had made a deal with myself that I was one of those people that are not meant to use any types of drugs that alter your mindset. I had proven that. I'll tell you that whole story in another Chronicles of Self-Sabotage edition. And I gave myself permission. Wife knew about it. And I started using it more and more. First, just the drops and the gummies. But when I wasn't around my wife, I started using the vape pens. And in 2020, COVID happened. But by that time, I had realized I was not loving being in the weight loss industry at all, even though it was making a lot of money. And I was ready for a change. My wife and I decided we were going to move to Carlsbad, a place we both loved, and a place that I thought would be great. I also tried to recruit my staff to run the gym without me. But when COVID happened, some staff had to be let go. It was chaos. Well, I'm not blaming any of this on COVID. I had lost this with my staff while we were successful. Because when the gym was doing great, and I realized, man, I can do more than just help people lose weight, I started doing other projects and hired a general manager, sales team, coaches. I was basically doing nothing in the gym but making money. And to be honest, when I started Life Fitness, my intentions, I didn't know it would make a lot of money. I didn't know I would be what I consider rich. That's having money in savings and being able to buy what you want at the grocery store and live in a house, even though we're renting it. But I was realizing I am good at this. I can make money. But that's all I started caring about. I forgot all about the Life mission. I was trying to monetize every single play. And when I saw members, it just shifted more and more to how can we make this really profitable? How can I become a millionaire? And I think my staff felt that. So when I made the move to Carlsbad and COVID happened, they didn't want to do it. I had lost complete buy-in from my staff. I hired a whole new staff. That didn't work out. I fortunately got the PPP loan and used all that money to hire this new staff. Basically, it was one failure after another. And now I am vaping like crazy. Well, since I'm vaping during the workday and I have severe adult ADD, I start taking Adderall, and I take a lot of it. I mean, 3 a day. Not me. 4, 5. See a pattern here? More and more and more. And when the Adderall would run out, I would get worried and scared because I felt better on it. So, long story short, we moved to Carlsbad. It was beautiful. I'm running the gym from afar, have another business going, partner up with a friend, and we're doing another business. So I have 3 things going and not doing any of them exceptionally well. Definitely overextended myself once again. Also part of the self-sabotaging pattern. Saying yes to everything because you're scared of saying no, you're going to miss out. And then overloading yourself so much. I overloaded myself so much that it was going to be really hard to do them all well. But we had plenty of money, so we were living off savings and PPP loans and what have you. And I'm flying back and forth until finally it becomes very clear that PPP loans are running out. We got to close down the gym. It's not making any money. By the way, I've hired a staff, and the staff, I went down for 2 weeks and hired them and trained them, and they did their best. But I mean, really? Oh boy, looking back and telling this story is, what was I thinking? Oh yeah, self-sabotaging. So it wasn't conscious thinking. There's a lot of just unconscious behaviors popping up and showing up. But through it all, Nicole and I, we're hanging out, we're doing the thing, but we're getting less and less connected. She's with the boys and with a new awesome house. It was an awesome house, by the way. Renting it, but it was awesome. And I'm flying back and forth trying to run 3 businesses. I'm running out of the Adderall left and right. Long story short, I decided it's a good idea for me to, if I can't get Adderall, I'm going to get Adderall's messy cousin, sloppy cousin, the Voldemort of drugs. And it was a drug I had experience with in the past that I swore to myself I would never do again. It's a close cousin to Adderall, just a couple molecule connections off. And I was able to get as much of that as I wanted. And I used it in pill form first. And I'm still using the THC. Now I've got the Adderall cousin, METH, in case you're wondering what it is. Super embarrassed about it. And my wife calls me out one time when I get home and goes, hey, it seems like something's going on. You're on something. I don't know, just the same old stuff. And this went on for about 2 months. And chopping up in pills turned into just taking a quick sniff. I mean, I literally would chop it up and put it into a pill, weigh it out like it was medicine. That's how I did it at first. That's how I justified it. And then I would just take a quick little sniff of it. I'm embarrassed about this, by the way, but I know the only way I get through this is being completely authentic for once in my life, not trying to sugarcoat things and make it look like, oh, poor Tom, or, oh, Tom's so great. I gave in to an old pattern, and that pattern grew. Because when I went back to close the gym, I took a drive, got a glass pipe, and things were horrible. By the time I got back from closing the gym, my wife had found all the paraphernalia, and she knew what I was doing. I think she knew the whole time. I agreed to stop, and I did. On December 9th, 2020, I stopped once and for all. Haven't done it since, nor do I plan to. Since that day in 2020 when I stopped, obviously things got much harder with my wife. I went into a state of depression, state of just coming off that stuff, by the way. Your moods are just poop. I'm still doing my best to work. I'm still doing my best to throw it together. But by now, my partnership with my friend has absolutely fizzle-dizzled. Thank goodness she kept it going for herself, but I blew it and caused her lots of pain and agony unnecessarily. And none of my businesses were doing extremely well. But my wife says, hey, if you can get off of this stuff and stay off of this, I'll help you with the business. Yay, because she's awesome and I knew she'd be great. But I didn't stop the THC, nor did I try to or want to. In fact, when we went to couples counseling, the counselors understood why I was still using the THC. And I tried various antidepressants during my depression bouts, and to be honest, the THC worked better and great for sleep. And I'm still vaping it. And my wife did not like it. She did not want me to keep doing it. And it was almost, I will say what happened. During this phase of my life, I knew in my heart and in my head that I was at a very low point. I was scared that I would not bounce back from it. And I was scared everyone saw what a low point I was in. All these past shame, pain patterns came right back up. Not being good enough, not being worthy, always having to prove myself. And I acted as if I was the shit. Like, I have it all together. Don't you worry about me. Can't tell me what to do. Can't tell me nothing. And I joined a coaching group, paid a lot of money, and acted like I had it all together. It was all about to just blow up and explode. My new software business. And I was going to partner up with a coach of the coaching group to promote the software business. And yes, I was just there for that. And man, and with my wife, I wasn't authentic with her and say, hey, I am scared that I am not going to pull out of it. I'm having a tough time. Instead, it was just a battle of wills. Well, we wound up moving back to Pleasanton from Carlsbad. That's where the gym was. And I did not want to do that, but the boys did not want to live there. And Nicole was completely unhappy. And I had the THC, the vape pen. It was called the vape pen because that's pretty much the only way I used it then. I had the vape pen to kind of get me through it. I was just numbing the bad feelings. Numbing the bad feelings of losing the respect of my staff and members. Numbing the bad feelings of having to close down a gym that I actually loved, but didn't love the weight loss industry so much. But I loved the people and I loved building it. And losing the respect of my wife and myself. Messing up the business partnership with one of my really good best friends. And squandering, well, just spending money like we were making lots of money. Fast forward to, well, my wife left while we still lived in Carlsbad. She left me for a week in Carlsbad alone. And it was after I stopped the meth, but was still vaping. And she had taken me to a drug test. Well, what kept happening is even though I'd stopped the meth, she kept accusing me of being on it. So we went and got another drug test, and it was negative. And this has happened several times in our relationship where she thought I was on something and I had to go get a drug test, and they were always negative. But I definitely did lie to her when I first started doing it. So I could see her point. But I was so angry that she kept making me do that. And I went on a tirade of how I think we'd be better off as friends and how, I said some things. She left. She came back in a week and we agreed to give it a try for a year. During that year, I definitely stayed off the meth and all other drugs, but kept vaping and made very slow progress in the business and in my own self-respect and confidence. And it was just like a perpetual cycle of no progress and not dealing with the pain. Is this still recording? Yes, it is. The pain that I'd caused. But now the money's all running out because we moved back to Pleasanton. That cost a bunch of money. And none of the businesses are doing great. I got COVID in May, and that was my all-time lamest. And my wife continued to accuse me of being on something besides. I told her the truth about vaping. She knew I was still doing that. Though I wasn't proud of it, and I knew I was doing it for way too long, way too much. My plan was to stop vaping like soon after I stopped the meth. But I just kept it going. It was like this emotional crutch. And it was really just prolonging its self-sabotaging behavior. On May 14th, my wife said either the vaping stops or we stop. Well, at first I was like, that's not what you can say. We have to work on other things besides that and da-da-da. And then I realized, man, Tom, it is time to stop. You are not doing anything that you're proud of right now. You are not the person you're proud of. You have to stop. And on May 15th, I stopped. Haven't vaped since. Today is July 25th. Not that long, almost 90 days, but I don't intend to do it again. Over the next couple days, we were great. But then, the same thing. I think you've been doing it. No, I haven't. Back and forth. I go to VCOM, and whenever that happens, we have several days of no talking, no love, no interaction. Just I go to VCOM, which was great, by the way. Meet some great people, have some great experience, but I'm still fresh off the THC, and I'm sweating all the time. I'm tired all the time. Physically, I was a mess, but mentally, I was happy to be there, and I was happy to be around these other people with similar mindsets. When I got back, there was no love for my wife. She completely alienated me. I would try to touch her, wouldn't touch me. She was, in my view, so positive that I was off using drugs that whole time that she just said, forget it. A couple more days passed, and she said, I'm done. I'm just done. I said, ooh, that doesn't sound good, but I'm not going to ask her to elaborate just now. I'm on my best behavior. I'm going to meetings. I'm working harder. I'm doing the deal. And even though in the past I'd say, hey, I wonder if my life would be better with a different partner that was more aligned with me. But now that she was done, I was like, no, don't do this. Because I knew that I wasn't using anything. I wasn't using the THC. I was not going back to meth. But she treated me so coldly. I finally wrote an email. Obviously, we need to go separate ways. I mean, we need to separate. Let's do it nicely and lovingly and consciously. And I thought she was going to say, no, we can work this out. But she didn't. She said, pretty much, I was thinking the same thing. The sooner the better. So for the rest of the month, I lived in the room by myself. And she slept on the couch. And I looked for places. And to be honest, I thought that was going to stop at any moment. Like we were going to say, nope, we've gone through so much already. Because in another video, because this one's already too long, I'll tell you how we came together and how she helped me get sober in the first place and how she was my ride or die when I got sober and started the business and just emerged. But now my ride or die wanted me to get the hell out. And I would flip-flop back and forth of feeling fine. I'll show you. I'll get out and I'll do better than ever. to no. And the whole time thinking it's going to stop. Like, we're going to put on the brakes and we are going to decide to work it out. But that didn't happen. And I can't figure out, was it because I wrote that first email that gave her permission to do it? Did I subconsciously really want this to end? Or did I mess up so much that she just could not handle it anymore and completely fell out of love with me? I mean, if you don't trust someone, it's hard to love them. I mean, you can love them, but you don't want them as a partner. And I believe she lost her belief in me that I could be a provider. We're finalizing the divorce papers now. And I have been in solitude in this apartment really for the last month. Prior to that, kind of solitude in the room at the house. And I struggle each day to remember purpose and remember who I really am and to stick to it no matter how bad it feels. And I have lost a lot of money. I have failed the business. I have detoxed from alcohol, from meth, from Adderall. Alcohol's the hardest. From THC, easiest. Except I was sweating all the time. I have no substances I'm using now to alleviate the pain. I have no people. I haven't met a woman that I can just have flings with to feel better. Lots of meditation, lots of journaling, lots of working on the business. But I'll be honest, it hits me sometimes and it hits me so hard I can't move. It's a crazy pain. And then I can't help but to think, maybe I deserve this. Maybe I'm a piece of shit after all. Maybe I'm not. And then I remember, no, you have some shame pain programs that will run unless you're conscious of them and do something about them. And they ran. And now, here I am, making this video because I know on a deeper level than my face and my body that I am going to come out of this. And maybe my life will never be as good as it was. But it'll be better than it is today. But this was not my only self-sabotage episode. I've had many in the past. But this is the one right now because losing the business, getting off all the intoxicants, losing money, losing the respect of my team, staff, lots of my friends, letting so many people down. At least I had my family because we have 3 kids. Well, they're her kids that I've raised since they were young because we spent 10 years together. And just to lose all that was finally you have really lost everything. Everything. But it's not because I'm not good enough or because I'm a terrible person or because I'm a failure. It is because of those shame, pain, self-sabotaging patterns, programs. Most of them are unconscious. I know what's going on. I know what happened, but still the pain of this loss caused by my own shame, pain programs is so overwhelming that it paralyzes me for periods of time. I have faith that it will get better as long as I continue to do the next right thing and stick to the plan. And I appreciate you for watching this video if you did, because just being authentic about what's happening with me today, if nothing else, I can watch this video 10 years from now and think, oh man, I remember that pain. And if you're going through something, I hope the journey I'm about to go through, where I do not let the old patterns kick back in, where I decide to learn from the past and apply it to the present instead of learning and trying to go back and apply it to what's already happened, that hasn't worked. And as I let go of things patterns and programs that are just weighing me down, and I make it through this pain, because it is a pain like I've never felt before. I make it through this pain without going back to drugs or alcohol or meaningless escapades. I've always used one of those things. Or gambling. Gambling was fun. I've basically been addicted to everything at some point in my life. But more on that later. Well, thanks for watching. And even if I'm the only one watching it, I will watch it. And I will say to my past self, I love you, man. I know that was hard, but look at us now. Or maybe Nicole and everybody else is right. Maybe I will break down and go right back into the past patterns and not make any more videos like this. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.